Traveling and training as an amateur athlete is difficult sometimes. I value those experiences as formative ones, but I will say that they're difficult sometimes. And I always look forward to coming here whenever those experiences kind of start getting the better of me. I remind myself that in a matter of weeks I'll be back in Algonquin Park, swimming in a pristine lake, maybe over to the islands, and the place I always want to come when it's time for a vacation is right here. It's a nice building to look at from some angles, but it's pretty mouse infested, and I don't stay in there. I use it for storage. And the fire pit out here is where I cook most of my food and make coffee and stuff, and then my cabin's up there where I sleep. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's only about 250 square feet, but it's a roof over my head. So I mean, really your day is consumed with these menial tasks of chopping wood, making food, doing the dishes. It's nice because you just don't have to worry about anything because the day just kind of flows. You get your training done in the morning. It's a perfect place for training. These lakes are all interconnected. I could paddle for 30 or 40 kilometers without looking back, so it's pretty amazing. The fall's here now, and this is like high tourist season in Algonquin because of the brilliance of the leaves. It's really, really remarkable. Just as they start to change, because you get the contrast between the green and the reds and the oranges and the yellows, and it really blows people away. If you've never been up here before in the fall, then you're missing out because it's pretty spectacular. When you're out on the water and it's totally quiet and all you can hear is a loon call, it's nice. It's calming. It's not the Don Valley Parkway, let's put it that way.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. What a sincere pleasure it is to be addressing a crowd in Algonquin Park, truly my favorite place in the whole world. I'm here to talk about hard work. The name of my speech is called Chop Wood, Carry Water. Those are two things that I've done a lot of in the park since kind of making this my second home 4 years ago. As an Olympian, things tend to happen to me in 4-year stints. I tend to plan in 4-year stints. And I always think in the sense of 4. When I was young, my coach, I was racing 1,000 meters, and my coach, Dean Oldershaw, used to tell me to break it down into 4 250s. So throughout my whole life, I've kind of broken things down into 4. And I guess I still do that. The first time I ever came to the park was in 1996 with a school group to Camp Tanamacoon. And it was about 8 months after I started training for kayaking competitively. And I actually did my first race here in Algonquin Park on Cache Lake. Or maybe it was Lake Tanamacoon, I forget. It was just a little kayak race. They're putting on a little mini Olympics because that summer the Olympics were taking place in Atlanta. And I'd never actually raced my kayak, so Algonquin Park was the first place I ever raced a kayak. I won, by the way. If I get really boring, there's a video on behind me. Tune in to just ignore what I'm saying. But it's a great video that the Toronto Star did of my little spot up on South T Lake. 4 years later, I tried out for my first Olympic team in 2000. I failed to make that team, but I learned a lot about myself. I was only 18 years old, so I changed a lot of things in my life. And then 4 years later was a very significant year for me. I went to my first Olympics in Athens. I had great success, and I came home and was invited to Algonquin Park by Michael Budman from Roots to enjoy Thanksgiving dinner. And that was my first time in Algonquin Park in 8 years, and I just fell in love with it on the day. I remember I paddled, I did a little jog around one of the, I think the hardwood loop, just like a mile. I just went and checked everything out, everything that I hadn't seen before, and really fell in love with the park. And then 4 years later, I found a lease of my own and acquired a lease on South T Lake, which I've, for the past 4 years, have been kind of curating on my own, I suppose, trying to make it my own, trying to get a sense of place for me and my family and my friends. And one thing that has predominated in the last 4 years has been hard work. And that's why I'm here today, to talk to you about hard work. And not about the 5,000 kilometers a year that I paddle in order to make one really good kilometer at the end of the year. I'm talking about hard work in the form of labor. Everybody knows that hard work creates value in a variety of ways. We work hard to make money, to support ourselves and our families. We train for fitness and for health, and these are valuable aspects of life that hard work is a necessity for. But there's aspects of hard work that get created, I think, sort of inherently or innately, sort of behind the scenes. And they have a different impact on us. They don't create tangible wealth or value. They create something different. And for me, I've learned more about myself in that sense in Algonquin Park, because at first, when I first came here, the work seemed like tireless and fruitless. I'm just carrying water up and down from the dock just to wash dishes or to boil, to drink, and constantly chopping wood so that we'd have fuel for the trips that we had up here. And I learned over the course of time, and over the course of just the past 4 years, really, how valuable that work has been for me. And comes in little things like how much better coffee tastes when you boil the water over fire, and how much better bagels taste when you toast them over fire, and how much better everything just feels. Last night there was a crazy storm. Who was in Algonquin Park last night? Or around Algonquin Park last night? There was a crazy thunderstorm, and I stayed in this little cabin that my brother and I built 2 falls ago, and it's got a steel roof on it. It's 240 square feet, and it looks a lot better now. This is about halfway. Not that it looks that bad. I don't know. It's okay. But that's about halfway through its construction. Anyways, the refuge that I sought last night in that small building that my brother and I created felt better than it would if I was in my condo in Toronto. I wouldn't have probably noticed that it was raining. And instead, I not only noticed that it was raining last night, I was terrified by the rain to some degree, and I really valued the hard work that my brother and I put into this so that I could spend time in Algonquin Park despite the weather. So I'm chopping some wood, and I'm just going to click through these randomly. Most of these pictures mean absolutely nothing, but there's a couple that I wanted to talk about. The inherent value of hard work is something that I've noticed also through training. I've noticed that athletes and people that work hard are spiritually full people. And people that work hard value, just the application of effort. And I think the application of physical effort, and I'm talking about physical effort, is something that's somewhat lost on our youth to some degree, and it was touched on by a variety of our speakers today, which I'm so esteemed to be among. And it's something that I think the park can really offer. I'm a recreational user of Algonquin Park, and not just the lakes. I paddle probably about 800 or 1,000 kilometers a year in Algonquin Park, and only on 4 or 5 small lakes, just because I like to paddle on flat water. But also I ski in the cross-country ski trails in the winter, and I run in them when they're not covered in snow. I swim in the lakes, and I snowshoe across them when they're frozen. I mountain bike the Minising trails, and I pretty much use the park as much as I can for recreation. And that kind of hard work, that fun kind of hard work, that the only result is really a destination, or sweat, or a tiny bit of fitness measured over years and years of hard physical work, is something that has added so much to my life as an athlete. And when I look back on my career as an athlete, I can't think of anything more valuable than that.